One day, a man rented a house on the outskirts of the forest. This house was abandoned for a long time, and no one had lived in it. Then its owner remaintained it, repainted it, changed its decor, and then offered it for rent. So this man came and rented it. This man tells his terrible story, saying, "I moved my luggage to this house and spent the first night there with my wife and children. It was a quiet and beautiful night. Several days passed until we settled in this house. I was very happy with this house overlooking the amazing view of the outskirts of the forest, and my children were very happy with the small garden attached to the house, in which they spent the day playing and having fun. I used to go to work in the morning and come in the evening and sleep early to continue working the next day. But my wife loved staying up late in front of the TV. After a week had passed, she came to my bed running with fear filling her eyes, saying that there is something strange in this house. So I asked her what it was, and she told me that every night she heard a noise in the corridor leading to the kitchen, and sometimes she heard the sound of children screaming and the sound of their feet as they ran around the house. I tried to calm her down and told her that these sounds could be the sounds of the radio or television. I advised her to sleep so that these obsessions would not return to her again. She calmed down a little and we slept that night. The next day I came home late from work and was very exhausted. When I entered the house, I found my wife motionless, her eyes wide open, sitting in the corner of the house, sweating and shaking violently. After she woke up, she told me that she saw a woman sitting with her in the hall and chatting together. This woman told her that she and her family had been living in this house for a very long time. They will never leave it, and I advised my wife to look for another place for her and her family, because this house is small and cannot accommodate everyone. I was extremely shocked when I heard this strange story that my wife told me. As soon as she finished, a short man appeared in front of me and said to me, "We do not want to harm you and your family, but our family is large and we are the real residents of this house and we came many years before you lived in it. So we ask you to look for another house." I agreed to leave immediately and started looking for another home. I asked him for a period of time until I found another home for me and my children, and he gave me a full month so that they would not harm anyone in my family and would not appear to us day or night, and before that time we left the house without returning. When I got married, my wife's mother told me not to make her angry or make her sad for any reason whatsoever. Of course, it was not strange. She was like any mother who would advise me to do good for her daughter. 3 years after our marriage, I remember that I argued with her about something, and it was my mistake when I left angry with her without apologizing. On the second day, she started behaving strangely. When I returned home, I found her staring at me silently. Sometimes I found her sitting at the kitchen table, staring at the ceiling. For the first time, I noticed that her hair was very long, black, and reached her knee. Other times I leave her in the hall and go to the bathroom, only to suddenly turn around and find her staring at me in a frightening, silent way. I remember, 2 days after our problem, I woke up at 2 in the morning due to thirst and was surprised to find my wife standing on the wall with her 4 legs. I felt like my heart would come out of its place. Here I could not bear it any longer. I got out of bed and passed by her, and she contented herself with staring at me in her frightening way. I picked up the phone with my trembling hand and called her mother and told her about my problem with her. Before I told her about her daughter's strange behavior, she took the initiative to say, "Did I not tell you never to make her angry or sad?" I answered her, "How did you know about our problem?" My wife's mother answered me and said, "Your wife has been with me for 2 days. Why didn't you come to reconcile her?"